So welcome everybody. We're delighted to have Rabbi Moshe Schatz here at the ALSHECH Academy the first time, and it's a real pleasure to have you with us. We're going to introduce you properly in a moment, but I just wanted to take this moment to just summarize what it is we're trying to do here at the ALSHECH Academy. This is a dream that was born a few weeks after Pesach. And the idea is to create an excellent learning center in English for Balei Tshuva, people from all over the world, to access the richness and tapestry of the wealth of our heritage that is so often hidden. We know, especially in Kabbalah, that very few people were learning it, let alone teaching it, and certainly when I've attempted to learn it, it's been so beyond me, and trying to understand the Ari and the implication that he had on the world is quite a challenge, and so the idea is with this academy is to have something accessible for people who are too mature perhaps to go to yeshiva, not quite ready to go to kollel. It's not quite a university and not quite a kollel, so it's something in between all of that. We're creating something new, and the idea is to harness the rich resources, particularly in Tzfat, of all the educators that we have here. I've been living in Tzfat for some 7 years, and I've experienced some great teachers, and what we're trying to do is bring them all together under one roof so that we can all enjoy the wisdom of the teachings. I really hope that you will join with us. We're meeting every Tuesday, once a week, from 9 till 1. And we hope in August, the 15th, first of Elul, to increase that to 2 days a week, Monday and Tuesday. And then B'ezrat Hashem in November, we'll have a full launch, 5 days a week of learning. And the idea is to learn the written law, which we're learning through Torah Moshe, which is the parasha, the drush of the Moshe ALSHECH, of which the Ari said was one of the 70 authorized drushim on the Torah. We're going to learn the oral law. Our dear Rav Yirmiyahu has taught us the Ari's perspective of Chok L'Israel, something that's completely different from what the standard Chok L'Israel is at the moment. So incorporating Torah, Mishnah, Gemara, and the writings of the Nevi'im and Ketuvim into a program that teaches us to do that every day. We'll be learning halachot every day, and then we'll be injecting Musar, philosophy, Kabalah, very basic Kabalah, and occasionally we'll be going down to the Kevarim, as we will be later on today, to on the yort sites of the sages. And that will happen today. But I'm absolutely delighted to have you, Rabbi Moshe, with us. You've come all the way from Jerusalem to be with us, and I'll just give a little summary of your incredible biography. You were born in Brooklyn, and you learned in near Yeshiva in Baltimore. Israel, in Baltimore. And also in Jerusalem, the first brisk, is that?
Yeah, that was I was in 1970. I went to higher learning in Yeshiva's Brisk by Rabbi Yosef Ber Soloveitchik, known as Rabero. Then I returned in 1972, and I studied by his cousin, Joseph Ber Soloveitchik, in New York and Boston. And then I came back to Eretz Yisrael in 1974. That was after the Yom Kippur War. And I went to Yeshivat Mir, and then at that point I was then 24 years old, and I followed, actually to say for short, how much time do I have? To what time?
Well, we're just summary. I'll just finish the summary because I want you to go on to the.
You can speak as much as you want.
No, because
we're having people wanting to speak as much as you want. But I want to also mention that you studied Kabbalah. You did.
Yeah, that's what I want to
book.
say.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
Yes,
I actually just, I want to say a very quick story of what happened here. I mean, I knew at a young age that I have to learn this. And I'm going to say a very quick story. When I was 9 years old, my father, first of all, my father used to tell, there was no storybooks then, so my father used to say, he used the Ein Yaakov to take stories of Chazal and tell it to me. That's what he was doing. And yeah, I remember how we used to speak about the Ari. For some reason, I felt already he's my hero, you know. I was then 8, 9 years old. But on a Shabbos afternoon, he calls me over and he wants to learn with me a Gemara. What was it? The Dal Nechsul Pardes. For that age. But we're learning the Gemara. It's written in the Gemara. We're just learning what's there. And actually, I wanted to go to my friends. So I figured, okay, I'll sit a half hour and then I'll just whatever. Find an excuse, get up and go. What happened was we were learning the Dal Nechsul Pardes, the 4 which went into the Pardes, and the Gemara. There's about 4 pages of Gemara there. And it was very fascinating. And I found this like so fascinating as if I felt I was there. And I forgot everything about playing with my friends and all that. I was in another world. And we went all the way till it was time to daven for Suda Shlishis already. Like the last minute, daven Mincha and Suda Shlishis. When I came out of that, I wasn't a child. Like I said, anyone who doesn't know this doesn't know what Torah is. And it was like a drug experience. The best way I could describe it, how people describe their experiences. And it took me a little while to come down, to go back to being a child. And that left a tremendous impression. Well, this is what I have to do when I get older. And just another little story, of course, when I was older, when I came back to Eretz Yisrael in 1974, I was here in Tzfat, and I prayed by the Ari, I should be zocha to understand Sodos HaTorah. And I didn't mean then, I meant another 10 years, because I had plenty to do in other studies, in my Gemara studies and all that. And then the same thing I prayed by Rishon Bayachai. Also, I should be zocha to understand Sodos HaTorah. Again, the same thing, another 10 years from now. What happened? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, didn't have the patience. And already in Elul, that Elul, I met someone by the name of Rabbi Mordechai Schoenberg from the Old City, and he already broke me into the Rav Ashlag Torah. And from there already, it's a whole story, and I went on, you know, I was in that for a couple of months, and then from there I went on my own into Eitz Chaim. All right, the rest is history. There's no time to talk about it. It's a book of itself. It's a very, very fascinating. Okay, we're going to go now to actually what we're going to talk about. I would say, those which know Hebrew, it's very worthwhile, very, very worthwhile. Read the introduction, the Hakdama of Reb Chaim Vital, what he himself wrote. You know, he is the Talmud which the Ari was Samech Yodav Olav, you know. He gave him smicha. And so Reb Chaim Vital himself writes, you should read, it's worthwhile to read the whole Hakdama. It's a very fascinating Hakdama. Reb Chaim Vital wrote this as a hesped on the Arizal. No, this is written right after he was nifta. He wrote this as a hesped. You could see that. And I'm just going to read you a segment, just that you should get a feeling of who was the Ari. Everybody knows intuitively the Ari. There's no word for him. But I'm going to take a few minutes time. How long do I have?
45 minutes.
Okay. To about almost, I see 10 to 11. Okay. So it says so Reb Chaim Vital writes like this. I'm just going to read an excerpt of this Hakdama. But he himself is writing from what he saw. Hine hayom abi achidos niflam tam deyim. Ki b'chol da v'da, in every generation, hiflu chasto itanu el Hashem, v'yoel lanu ayidei hasridim asher Hashem korei b'chol da v'da. Kadosh Baruch Hu is meya us with his chesed with those which, the few people which are left, the few tzaddikim and some which are left over in each door, and each generation, the Gamba Dorenu Zeh, and also in this generation, Elokeinu Rishonim Achronim, Lo Hishbis Goyel Mi Yisrael, he didn't hold back a redeemer from Yisrael, V'yakani La'atzreinu, V'yachmol Al Shemo, V'yishlach Lanu, he sent us. That is what they say on Reb Shim Bayacha, you're going to see in a minute. Yishlach Lanu Ir V'kadosh Min Shammai, he sent us a malach, this is in Aramaic, Ir V'kadosh, a holy angel. Ir V'kadosh Min Shammai Nochis. It's a pasuk in the Nil, what he's using here. Harav HaGadol, Elohi HaChassid, the great rabbi, saintly, godly chassid, which means he someone who does everything the min mishurat hadin, more than halacha. Mori v'Rabbi Kovan Harav Rabbeinu Yitzchak Luria Zeicha Tzadok Levracha L'Chayim L'Mabah Ashkenazi Mole Torah Karimon. He's full of Torah. It's like it's because we say a Rimon has Taryag pits, which is a remiss to Taryag mitzvahs. So that means it's complete. Morei Torah Karimon, that's a pomegranate. B'Mikra, Mishnah, Talmud, Pilpul, B'Midrashim, Haggados, B'Maisa Bereshis, Maisa Makava, Baki. Now listen what he says here. Baki B'Stichas Ilanos. He understood the language of trees. So when the wind blows and the leaves make a sound, he understood what it's saying. He's taking what the Gemara says on Reb Yochanan ben Zakkai. The same thing with the smallest Talmidim, Reb Yochanan ben Zakkai, Shlo haniach davar katan, davar gadol, ma'isa makava, ma'isa bereshis, sichas ilanos, all the things. Look up the Gemara there. Which is so mystical, like some things we don't even know what they are even. Reb Chaim Vital is writing this on his teacher, in his generation. What birds speak, he knows the language. There's a story in the Shar Kavanas of a raven came and because he was Megala Sodas Barabin, which he wasn't supposed to, and told him, and then he says afterwards, Baruch Dayan Emet. So Reb Chaim Vital asked him what happened. He says, because I revealed what I shouldn't have revealed in Rabim, these particular Sodot. So it was nigzad that my son, my 3-year-old son, Rachmana litzlan, is going to die. And Reb Chaim Vital writes that's exactly what happened. He came home. The Rebbe came home and he found his child sick, and he was nifter, Rachmana litzlan. He's buried actually on the right side, all the way in the corner. I think his name is Moshe. See, that's what he's writing here. So, and also in Sichas Malachim, conversation of angels, Maki b'chachmas hapartzuf. You could look at a person and he'll know everything what's there to know, as far as partzuf goes. Haniska b'zoh Parshas Yisro ala pasuk v'atzatechasa Yodeya b'maisa b'nei Adam she'asu. He knows everything what that person did. She'athinu lasot, even what they're going to do, even what they themselves know what they're going to do. He already knows it. The machshavas b'nei Adam terem sheyotzim min hakol chapo, before it comes out into actuality, he already knows before even what the person knows. Yodeya ko'atidos, he knows everything what will be in the future. Ko'advarim hahovim b'chol ha'aretz, everything what's happening in the world. If you want to know what's going on in the different countries, he didn't need the iPhone, so to speak. He had it all. But not just he had it all, he knew the inner kavanah. What does the Kadosh Baruch Hu want from this? It wasn't just to know it. What's the kavanah? Why is Hashem Yisbarach doing this for? What's going to come out of it? No, it's real sodos which cannot be known. And then it goes on to say, whatever the Kadosh Baruch Hu goes in Shemayim, Yodeh b'chachmas hagilgul, He knows of past lives, mi chadash, who was here the first time, mi yashan, and how mi gegulim. Eifo ha'ish ha'hu be'ezah makom tului b'adam ha'elyon. Where does he belong in the spiritual Adam? And ba'adam harishon ha'tachton. Where's his shorish in the Adam harishon? This is just things we have no idea what this is. Yodeya b'shalaheves hanir v'havas eish. He would look at a candle and he would understand the language of how the flame is either jumping up and down. There's also a message in there, and he would know that. I don't know if a lot of people know about this. Mistakel b'sofa be'enav, he would just be able to see, and in the Gegulim he brings that he doesn't have to be close to a kever. He would see from a distance of metrim, 50 meter, 100 meter or more. He would be able to see the particular kever, if what he wants, what he's focusing on, and he'll see the neshama there standing there, and what chet he's being nenash on right now, and what was he chelter. And Rechaim Vital writes in the Gegulim that we went and we went to look into this to see if this is correct. And what the Ari would say, and they would come back. He would come back to that's the information. That's true. Mm-hmm. The Ari didn't know him from Adam, as they say. Yeah. This is who you're talking about. He would look in the from his eyes, he would be able to see the neshamas of tzaddikim, rishonim, achronim, the early ones, tanoim, amarayim, and anyone you want. He had access to talk to. Umisasikim moham b'chok m'sa'emes. Umakeh b'recha adam kol masav. Just from the smell, we don't even know what this is, of smelling a person, he would know already what's going on by him, as mentioned by the Yenuka in Parshas Balak. There was a child who had this koach, so by the Ari it was the same thing. Then he goes to say, all these chachmas, he had it in him anytime he wanted, on the second, on the rega. He didn't have to do meditation 10 minutes or whatever to bring up. He wanted something, boom, it was happening. He was there. He was constantly there in the present moment, whatever it is, and all these chachmas kamunach b'kiso. It was like in his pocket. You just take it out, use it, put it back, and it's all there available in the future when he wants it. Then I myself, this is Reb Chaim Vital talking, I'm saying myself, Varim mavhilim, how you translate, scary, awesome, lo niru, which was not seen, lo nishmu b'charetz, was not heard, miyemei Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai alav shalom. What he's really saying is that from the days of he's almost equaling to the level of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. If you pay attention to what he's saying here, that from the time of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, you didn't have something like this. Didn't have anyone like this. Lo nishv'cho ha'aretz mei Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai alav shalom adheinu. V'chol zeh hisig shelo ayidei shimish Kabbalah maisius. So people who say, well, he must have done Kabbalah maisius. That's why he says chas v'shalom chalila v'chas. Ki isa gadol yesh v'shemusham. Kol zeh hayu mei atzmo. How did he get this? Ayidei chasidaso kushaso achisasko yomim v'shanim rabim. Reb Chaim Vital met the Ari at the end of his life, and he was only he came to Eretz at the age of 36, and less than 2 years, Reb Chaim Vital had a shaychus with him. He was here for 2 years, the Ari, but it was 6 months later. He came Pesach Shin Lamed, and Reb Chaim Vital finally came on the scene to meet the Ari. Was in Shin Lamed Aleph after Sukkot in Cheshvan. And that was it. And you make a cheshbon from then until Hey of Shin Lamed Beis is you're talking about a year and 10 months. Dvarim Niflaim, that in such a short time, what Reb Chaim Vital was himself able to pull out from the Ari. And he goes on to say that it's through a tremendous amelis in the Torah and his Hasidus and so on, until he was Mekayim, so to speak, what it says in Mesilas Yesharim, even though Mesilas Yesharim wasn't yet around. But that's what he kept it. This is what he did. That he had a degree, that he had literally the Shekhinah being sure on him to such a degree of a Ruach HaKodesh, which is unheard of. And this would only come back in Yemot HaMashiach to Klal Yisrael. And this brought him to Gili Eliyahu, and Eliyahu would talk to him anytime he wanted. And okay, so this is who we're talking about. And he goes on, he brings in a medrash that anyone who really was sincere, and brings a medrash, it's not only of a Jew. This is from a medrash that says, Tanya Eliyahu, Meir ani olai shamayim va'aretz, bein isha, afil eved, afil shivcha, afilu goy, hakol lefi masav, if he's actually is sincere and he's a tzaddik, and he works on himself, they will be zocheh to Ruach HaKodesh kovecha lefi darga dilei. This is a medrash. So, and the Ruach HaKodesh constantly goes from door to door. This is what Reb Chaim Vital goes to prove, and so on. Okay, this is. So who was the Ari? Who was the Ari? The Ari, we find out later on that he was actually the Mashiach ben Yosef of the Dor. He was going to be the Goyal of that generation. You see, a koach what Mashiach really has, and the Mashiach will have this koach l'asad lavo also. Very simple. Whoever it is, when the time will come, he will be zocheh to these kochos, because, and that's how the world will see that the Gula came, because they'll just be drawn. First of all, they'll see who in him, and also it's not just going to be in him; it's going to go spread out to the whole world, including the Ummah Ha'olam. A different consciousness, what we don't even have a hasaga, is going to take place. That's what the Yemos HaMashiach will be. It will start off k'muvan la'at la'at, but this is what's going to happen. That because in the Yemos HaMashiach, we're going to be zocheh to Nevuah. Nevuah is coming back. So this is what we're talking about. And the Ari didn't want that, because there was so much kitrug, meaning the generation wasn't really ready. So when he met Reb Chaim Vital, he told him, do not in any way, nobody's supposed to know about me. I'm going to teach you. And what the Ari really wanted, he wanted to be in the background, no one should know about him. And Reb Chaim Vital will become what we say, everything what I just read about Reb Yitzchak Luria would be Mitkayim, Reb Chaim Vital. That's really what was Kabalah of the Ari, what he wanted. And then it will take off the Geula, what it would be. But Reb Chaim Vital didn't get it, didn't understand it that way. He thought he met just a some great teacher. He didn't realize that it's much more than Stam a great teacher. And I'm going to read you something very quickly, and I have only one thing I want. To what time I have?
Till 10:45.
Oh, good, okay. I want to read you something, but Reb Chaim Vital himself writes, and you get the idea what I'm talking about. Va'ata, this is Reb Chaim talking. Va'ata echtov ma shehigid morizal. I'm going to tell you, he's like Moshe Rabbeinu gave Teichacha to Klal Yisrael at the end of his life. The Ari now, he knows that his time is up. And what brought that to happen, because this is something very important, what had done that, is one of the main things, it's not the only thing, is because at the very end, this is actually the last thing, what could have maybe even had saved the Gezerah, but was the last thing, was actually the week before what he wasn't, before he was nostalgic. No, it's the Shabbat before Hayov. And they were the families, the Talmidim of the Ari were living in a courtyard, a closed courtyard, and it was only for those families, nobody else there. And it was called, he made a hezger because he was trying to be mevatel the gzeira of which came because Reb Chaim Vital asked him something which he shouldn't have asked him, but Rabbim, without going into that story. And what happened was on that Erev Shabbos, that was the last Erev Shabbat, when the Ari was still alive, and he asked, and one of the wives of one of the family got into a machloket, between women, and then the husband came and took their part. It turned into a whole machloket, and then it spread to the whole. So it was like that. That's what did it. Is machloket. That's what did it. And when they read that Shabbos, that Leil Shabbat, he went out to do Kabbalah Shabbat. Reb Chaim Vital saw that he was very, very sad, very let down. Never saw him this way, even the whole time he knew him. So he asked him, what happened? He says, the Sultan just now passed by me, and he quoted the pasuk, Gam etchem v'umalpechem yisafu. The pasuk what Shmuel Hanavi said to Klal Yisrael, if you're not Beseder, you and your melech will go. So that was that. So the limit, of course, is that to bring back, to bring in the Geula is only going to be for Havat Yisrael. We have to stay away very much, be very careful from machloket. And if it happens, to ask Mechila immediately and to be mochel. And if it's not possible, the person that has to be gab in his heart, to be mochel at night, like Kriyat Shema Lamita, because this is the worst thing, is to hold, it should go on. So Reb Chaim, now the Ari is telling him concerning Reb Chaim Vital himself. I'm going to write what my Rebbe told me 7 days before he was Nifter Chaim Haba. And done. Ki min hashor harishon shedibi imi amali. This I started to say from the very beginning. So his zoy ma'od ma'od shelo gal inyono b'shel hasagaso v'yidotol livnei adam. You should not reveal me in any way. The whole purpose that he came to this world was only to mitaken Reb Chaim and Reb Chaim himself, and Reb Chaim would continue. No, he was here before he did his work. That also explains why he had these gifts, because he did it with his Mesiras Nefesh from previous Gegulim. He already did the Avodah, and of course, even in this Gilgul, he worked and worked in a way which is not English Shaya, you cannot even describe. So he was zocheh to this. This didn't come. He wasn't born with these gifts. U'avad ma'od 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 kosher. V'achakach. Then he goes on to say, I came here to be that I should be metakin oti bevad. V'achakach al yodi yituknu acherim. In other words, he would become in place of Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. V'his Rabbi, he want me, she'im agala inyono, listen carefully what he says here, if you're going to reveal me, she'im moshech nezek gadol lo v'li u'lachova olam kulo. Tremendous damage will come out from this. The Ari told this to Reb Chaim Vital. Now he's giving him Musa, like going back to show him what happened here over the last 2 years. So he said, if you megala me, it's going to bring hezek, a tremendous damage to him, to himself, to the Ari, to me, to Reb Chaim, and to the whole world, in that generation and to generations to come. Minizgagu hadvarim, shemori Rabbi Moshe ALSHECH Neru. That's his Rebbe of the Rabbi Moshe ALSHECH was the Rebbe of Reb Chaim Vital in Nigla. And he gave Reb Chaim Vital smicha. You know how old Reb Chaim Vital was when he met the Ari? He was 28 years old, and the Ari was 36, whatever. That's the age. And then when he was nifta, when he was nistalik, he was 38, and Reb Chaim Vital was then 30. They were 8 years apart. He already had smicha from the ALSHECH. Now, what happened? Reb Chaim, it's not enough not to talk about something, but you also have to be nohig in a certain way that people shouldn't smell anything. But the ALSHECH smelled something was going on. So he says here, "Gau hadvarim shemori Rabbi Moshe ALSHECH Neru Yoda hadvarim v'gozo alai." Of course, he wasn't going to tell even his Rebbe, but the ALSHECH said, "I'm goes on you, you're chayv to tell me." V'gozo alai she'agid lo ha'inyan u'mekor gezerato hochrachti legalos lo. I had to tell him because I'm a student and I'm not allowed to hold back. V'oz misham ve'elech, because of that, he told him, and then Gamarno, once Rabbi Moshe ALSHECH knew, and then already all of Sfat, within a day, they knew already, wow, we have here a wonder person here. So a lot of people started coming, brachas, I have a choler, I have this, I have that. And now, of course, this took away the time from the Ari to be able to teach Reb Chaim Vital. So Reb Chaim is writing, Ani hoiti choshev shositi mitzvah gedola. I thought I did a big mitzvah. Lezakot kol otam shahoyu chosen b'tshuva. Upomem rabos hayamori mochiachoti during this period, throughout the 2 years, or really the year and a half or so, year and 10 months. Mechiachoti al zeh shelo hayo panai lemoli mi merov havneklosim hayo omeli halo ato garamta kosa shiknsu kol elu vani ishanav. I cannot tell the people not to come. V'afal pisha nimshachli nezek. He was having damage from this. This wasn't good for him. Eini yochol litchosam. I cannot tell them don't come. Ubehemshach hayomim. As time passed, he wanted to send everyone away. He's talking about the other Talmidim which came in because they were not supposed to even be there. They didn't want to go. And he said and begged out of aspiration, out of exaggeration, I think is the word. You want to do such a damage that I'll go back into, it's a spiritual state that he'll go back into ibur, meaning that's not a good state. That's what happened to when the Jews were in Mitzrayim. I mean, it means he's being merames, he's hinting that he would have to die, I feel. He's saying this to the Talmidim. They begged him, but he couldn't say no. It just was 3 months ago. He took me privately. And Reb Yitzchak Luria said to me, my teacher said to me, you know how many times I warned you, don't bring people. He even told them, don't ask questions, so they would end up leaving. Says, do you know? He said, do you know how much I want you in this on this thing? How much damage is going to you and to everybody else, especially to you here. I would raise you up to the above the Rekia of Avod. He means to say is he would give him such, he would bring him into such kochot that he would become a duplicate of the Ari himself. V'hine ata, he tells him, Dalecha, ki nimshachli nezek gadol migili solos elu, to reveal these secrets, he einam adayin mutukonim. They're not ready for this, and I'm not allowed to say it. Vani muchach lahagid lecha, I have to tell you, ko asher tishal mimeni kamo shalmati lecha pamim rabos ba'avuracha shomim heim ve'einam kadayim l'shamam v'yeshlim nezek gadol mizeh lechein. So now the Yari gives him an eitzah. Shamano asoti v'altishalo lifneihem dava v'nichuli. No, don't ask in front of them, and if you don't ask, and they'll say they're not getting anything out of it, so they'll say, yeah, okay, it's not kedai, and they'll leave. And then I would learn with you privately. This is what he wants to make a trick over here to get them to go. V'lo shamati v'lo ritziti l'shmo b'kolo. Yes, so he said to show ato levadcha, you stay with me, v'alav kol l'amal megago avot. V'lo shamalti, v'lo ritik l'shmo b'kolo, be'emulo, I answered him, shelo yin nechshali avon. This is a very big thing what he's saying here, and how you could get fooled. It shouldn't be considered a sin. Let's call tshuvat hanoshim heim ba'avut eloti. What up? For my own benefit, I should not let them come in and learn by you. No, that's no good. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm only thinking of myself. V'amali, v'chi ein ani yodea im hu avon alav, sof dava ro l'tziti la'asot rosonim ezeh. No, he thought he's being a gibur, that he's denying what the Ari was telling him. Uv'shamul tshuvati, when he heard what I answered, hitchel levarli sat in yoni nafshi. He used to start to say the shurish of his neshama and so on. That's the Sefer Shagagulim, a lot of it. Holily. So he thought I would give in, and then I will understand that he's right. Well, lo yacholi, no. Oh, the imkos a robin city I still didn't want. Since akol yachako hayamahu atshkia sakama. I don't know what they went for hours. They were going back and forth here until before sunset of that day. Lo yocholi. Chaim Vital was writing, I was a giver. No, I wasn't. I didn't agree. V'amali, he said to me then, da ki ein od zman elo hayom hazeh bavad. Only now, right now, today, imlo tolda ledevarai. If you don't admit and hear what I'm saying and agree with me, ein od tikun el hanezach nimshachli, to the damage which would come to me, by having these solos revealed. Now Reb Chaim Vital is writing, now he realized, he thinks back to what happened, because he wrote this years later, till he was masada his notes, and he realized over the years what a mistake he did. He's calling himself a chassid shota. What if they're not going to have it? Have be zocha to the great Gilui when they are. Also will not have it. Whatever happens to them will happen to me. If they're not going to learn, I also not going to learn. And why did Reb Chaim Vital think so? Lo yomu b'shamayim, that Kodesh Baruch Hu shouldn't say shel b'shvil ta'oloti, only for my benefit. Lo chashati atelot kol asetikim ha'elu an nechlosin limod. That he thought he's doing a mitzvah. I'm giving up that they should also learn, so either no, it's not right. He didn't see that this is a right thing. Ubefrat, v'lo chashashti, I didn't realize ubefrat, especially I had no idea where I was going. After 3 days in that week, Yom Erev Shabbos, Parshas Matas Masai, Yom Rosh Chodesh Av, he got sick then, which was the year Shin Lamed Beis of the Yisira. Uve Yom Shlishi, that year was on Tuesday, Hey Av, Nifta l'chayil haba, v'chayim shavak lanu zecher l'chayei ha'olam haba. Incredible. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm going to try to, I want to just say one thing here. Obviously, what you see here, he didn't realize what this is really. And that's why it remained, what do we call Kitvei Ari? Which could be called Sifrei Ari. And the reason is because it never got edited properly into a book form. It's a manuscript. Like today, even like you say, you write up something in a computer, or you're writing a book, Kol Zman, it doesn't go through the last editing. And it doesn't have a proofreading, and then you give it to the printer. Only when it goes to the printer, then it's a sefer. Before that, till it's 100%, it's called a Ktav Yad. So that's why it's not called Sifrei Ari, it's called Kitvei Ari, meaning it's unedited. For that reason, it became, you know what you had over here? This was the Shvira of the Luchas Rishonot of that generation. Because we're supposed to get back the Luchas Rishonos in the Yemot HaMashiach, and that's what's going to happen. It's a whole different Torah, a whole different thing. There's no time to explain this. What's Shivrei Luchos? You have a piece here, a piece there, but go figure out what's the kesher. No, Bilbul and what? Adayomazah. You think you learn the Ari? It's not a lot of work. Pratim. The Torah is originally when Moshe Rabbeinu came with the Torah. So Chazal say, Rashi says over there, you have to give it out like a Shulchan Aruch. You know, that's the term Shulchan Aruch. Set that people, meaning that they don't have to work and figure. Teach it to them in a holistic way that it's easy and everybody sees exactly where everything belongs and they know how to apply it. That's really how Torah is supposed to come. And the reason we don't have Torah this way is because of the Golut. The Sefirot HaLuchot HaRishonot, that is already what caused the Golut. That's why Shabbos HaBatam is, in a certain sense, is even worse than Tisha B'Av itself. So that's the Kitvei Ari. Now, of course, there's no time to speak about what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was doing here over the years of the history that you had coming to the world great tzaddikim like the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, the Rashash, the Ramchal, the Vilna Gaon, and the Baal Shem Tov, the Talmidov. They're all chalokim. When you able to be zocher to see that they're all branches of the Arizal. It's not a machloket, it's different panim, but if one is zocher, holistically you see that it really is all one Torah, and and you need it all together. Just to say for short that the Kamana Rebbe Yitzchak Isaac Mekamana, there's a Sefer Megillah Storim from him, which he had visions, Chazionot. By the way, the whole koach, what the Baal Shem Tov had, is all basically a lot of it's cause of the Kitvei Ari and Mitzasek B'zeh. That you see that Afal came, those which came after, and they learned these Ketuvim, and they became big tzaddikim with tremendous Ruach HaKodesh. So the Kamana, he says in this Megillah Starim that he met the Arizal, and he asked him, why didn't you reveal the Derech Avodah with the Baal Shem Tov? So you know what the Arizal had told him? That was the plan, but I didn't have time. The plan was to give it all. No, anything what the Rashash would reveal 200 years later, and the Gra, the Ramchal, the Baal Shem Tov, the Talmidov, I was going to do all that. Couldn't happen. The generation wasn't befit. I'm going to say one thing. I'm just going to go for a couple of minutes. I was zocher to find what is the problem here. The problem is you learn this material and you don't know where you're coming or going. It's not. I don't have enough time to really do this properly, but we only have to 1:45.
You take a few minutes.
All right. Reb Chaim Vital writes in his Hakdama from the Ari, in this Hakdama which I was reading, what I just read to you, that there was a school of the Kadmonim, of the Rishonim, which started from the father of the Ravid. The Ravid is Rav Rambam, the Baal Hasagas of Rambam. So Rab David already, he was Zocher to Gili Eliyahu, and he taught the basics, what he had to his son, Rav Avraham, who's known as the Ravid. The Ravid had a son, Reb Yitzchak Sagi Noah. He was blind from the very beginning. He was also a Tzaddik Gadol, a Makubal Otzum. How he did, and he never saw in his lifetime Sagi Noah Tapela. And this Reb Yitzchak Sagi Noah had particularly two Talmidim. One is Rebbe Azriel from Gerona, Spain, and the other is Rabbi Ezra. I'm going to focus a little bit. Oh wait, before I get to that, so the Ari already said on this school they were zeicher to understand what the real Kabbalah, but you shouldn't learn anybody else if you want to be able to integrate what's going on. No, he's up to the Ramban. He's Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Azriel Migerona is the Rebbe of the Ramban. So, Shemayim gave me a gift. It's a whole story. There's no time to say it over. An unbelievable story, which happened some 30 odd years ago. That I wanted to know what is really what the. I'll just say very quickly, very very quickly. I asked myself. I was stuck in a steer in a basic thing of what's going on here. And I opened up one of the commentaries, and I started reading it, and it wasn't speaking to me. I read it many times because I wanted to see how does the question get resolved, and it wasn't clear. He was saying like a whole pilpul. It wasn't talking to me. But I read the piece maybe about over 10 times, and I realized if I'm going to just then I saw I'm not getting anywhere. And I realized if I'm going to just continue in this mahalach, in this way, the next 20 years, I'm going to just basically, I'll be able to tell you, this one says this and this one says that. But that's not the tachlis of limud. Limud is integration. So I closed the books and I said I have to start over, meaning I have to use my intuition. So I asked myself, this is what happened. I asked myself, what does the Ari really want from all this, from the Eitz Chaim? So I'm listening to my neshama. Parts, okay. Then I asked myself, what's up? Then I asked myself, what is a partzuf? As if I know nothing. Suddenly I get this intuition, go to the Sefer Derech Emunah from Rabbi Ben Gabbai. Rabbi Ben Gabbai was a generation before the Ari, and he wrote one of his Sfarim. He's known for the Sefer Avodas HaKodesh. He wrote a small little Sefer called Derech Emunah, based on the Ktav Yad, what he had from Rabbi Zriel from Gerona, Spain. And he's the first one to print a couple of pages from Rabbi Zriel Gerona, Spain, the Rebbe of the Rambam. So what Rabbi Zriel did, he wrote a question and answer, very, very basic. Where does it all come from? It's a couple of pages, and it's very, very, just itself, if you read it properly, it's very amazing what he writes there. There's no time for that. Anyway, I come to a piece where he's asking, I come to the first piece to asking, what do you need? Spheres for a Kosh Baruch Hu could do with the abracadabra, so to speak, and it's done. So basically he's saying the Sefirot is about Tzimtzum, and no, it's about Gevul, boundary. And when the Sefirot are full, they're Sholem, so they give out, they're giving out their emanation, they're giving out what they have to do. When it's Chaser, they're not Sholem, and so it's less. So what creates the boundaries, the differences, is coming through these Sefirot. That's to say for short, there's no time to go into that. I read the next piece. So okay, it's basically, you look at all of them, there's boundary, right? You see where it's coming from. That Rabbi Zriel is proving that the koach of boundary, koach limitation, is part of the Ein Sof, without getting into the whole thing right now. It's not something separate, otherwise that wouldn't be Ein Sof, to say for sure. I read the next piece, which is Os Dalet. Gimel, Os Gimel is the first one, Os Dalet. And this is what I want to say. I want to end with this, because this is what made the world of a difference. I asked the question, I got my answer, and then the rest was history, what happened afterwards. So in Os Dalet, Rabbi Zriel is asking, or the Shoel is asking, okay, you prove to me I have Sefirot, but why 10? And if you say 10, what does it have to do with unity? Lahavdil, he doesn't say, but I'm just to bring it to express the question. Lahavdil, the Christians have Trinity, and you're going to say 10? I mean, it's worse than them. I mean, he doesn't say that. But but basically, that's the question. And then, how does it have anything to do with unity? 10? And if I have it, if you'll give me permission, I will reveal what the spheres are. But I'll do it if you give me another 2 minutes afterwards. But let me finish here. So he says, so that's why I brought this Rubik's Cube. So he says, if you look at anything physical, it's an amazing thing what he says here. Okay, you count, this is the top, middle, bottom. All right, so it has 3 aspects. Okay, that's going 1 dimension. This is Rabbi Zriel talking. He calls it in his language Orech. He calls it Ba'orech, Rosh Toch Sof, Ba'orech. And then he says Ba'rochev, there has to be a Rosh Toch Sof, wherever you're starting from. So again, also 1, 2, 3. Yeah, doesn't make a difference. I'll start from the left, whatever. But the main point is that the middle is a chibur between the beginning and the end. Whatever you're calling your beginning, whatever you're calling your end. Okay. That's a 2nd dimension. Right? 1 dimension, no, it's going down, going in the width, 2nd dimension. Then there's a 3rd dimension going in, right? Front, middle, back. He calls it ba'omek. How many chalakim you have? Okay, look, you have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And then you have now the back, the front and the front and the middle and the back. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay. How much do you have? 9. The space, what allows us to be, is 10. Take any piece of Gashmi, whatever it is. When you look at it from its whole, this is what you're gonna get: a Rosh Toch Sofa. There's a top, a middle, and a bottom. In the width for the right, left, and middle, and front, middle, and back, space. Think about it. This is what it is. He's revealing here, by the way, already holography, by the way. That means that's what you see here. This is somebody 300 years before the Arizal. And I looked at this, I said, this is a parzuf. Because he's expressing this in a free column system, which means that you have your essence, what you want to express, and then you have it's mitnaged, in other words, what the opposite, and then you have the middle, what brings it together. And this works not only from top down, it works horizontally, right, left, and middle, and also going on the front, middle, and back. This is universal. It doesn't make a difference the size. Even a dot. We call it a dot because relative to what you want, that's a dot. No, that's how it works. No, it's a dot. We say that this is three-dimensional, which has nine chalakim, right? 10 chalakim with its space. Now, if I take an abstraction of this, you have two dimensions called a plane. I take an abstraction of the plane, I have a line. So the plane is two dimensions, the line is one dimension. You learn this in geometry. You remember this in school. And then you take an abstraction of the line, you get a dot. So of course you have some smart kid would ask the teacher, what are you talking about? I see three dimensions in this dot. And he's right. Well, the answer is that that's an erich, meaning in relationship. Yes, we're calling this a dot in relationship to what I call a line. A line is one dimension in relationship with the two dimension, an abstraction of two dimensions of a plane. A plane is two dimensions, an abstraction of three dimensions. But in reality, everything, when you analyze it by itself, it's three dimensions. There's not, absolutely speaking, there's nothing less than three dimensions. That's telling you that's the Metzias of Sefirot, which means existence. And the Chiddush here is that Sefirot is seen linearly, it's together. That's what a parzuf is. They work together as a whole. You cannot have one without the other. If you give me permission, I'm going to reveal here, okay? You're seeing already in the creation, physical creation, Sefirot. Meaning you're seeing a parzuf. The parzuf is really the yesod, the foundation of reality. This is what the Ari is revealing. So now I'm going to just move on to say, okay, what does this represent? And I'm going to finish with this. And this already I'm taking from Chassidus, which of course I said the Ari is masking to that. That the story, what I just said from the Kabbalah, but you don't need that. That's just Dhamma story. The truth is, it's seichel. This is something it's obvious, all part of one. There's no different halakim. Ultimately, that they disagree. You open your mind, you will see it. No, the Kabbalah is really about unity and communication. So I'm going to give you an example. What are we talking about? Suppose I want to do something. Why I want to create? Well, I don't know. Why I want to create a project, and eventually I'm going to sell it, market it, and so on. But that's what companies are doing all the time, and this is working according to this system. They don't know it, but that's what it is. Yeah. So suppose, I don't know. It could be I want to build a house. It could be something minute. I'm going to make a meal. Okay. So first of all, you have a ratzon. I have a will. That's keter. That ratzon is keter, because it's the crown of it all. But it's not, the will by itself doesn't say what it is. That's why it's ayin. Doesn't exist, it's a bechinas ayin. But in that ayin, it's all there, behelim. Okay, I ask, what is it? What do you want? Tell me what you want to make a meal. Great. You want to build a house. Great. Whatever it is, experiment. When you leave here, don't just let your mind run like stam kacha. Think about what your mind is doing. Okay, I want to build a house. Great, make a meal. That's chokhmah. That's koachma, saying what it is. Okay, there's many types of houses. There's many types of meals. So that's what bina comes in. So go figure, right? There's eilat of itself. Then you finally have to decide, okay, what kind of a house or what kind of a meal do I want? That's decision. You're deciding, This is what I really want. Pay attention that the das already is revealing what's hiding inside of the keter. What are you doing here? You're really you're taking something from a hidden self, and I'm bringing it to either I'm doing it for somebody, I'm doing it for others, or I'm doing it for myself. You know, that's a dualistic way of thinking, but that's what it is. That means there's a bakoach in potential, and then you have the development. That's the difference between Keter and Malchut, I'm going to get to in a second. Okay, I finally decide, this is what I want. Okay, that's your Chabad, horizontally. Also, by the way, Chabad works also not only horizontally, it also works vertically. Means you could call this Chachma. What we're going to see Chagat. Okay, I'll explain that in this afterwards, and you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, now I have to get to my Bina. Bina is about separating. Now I'm not talking about Bina now in the head. Now I'm talking about getting to the level of Chesed Gevurah Tiferet, which could be called Bina if you're doing it vertically. Because why? What's this connection? Because Bina is about assorting, separating. So that's what Chesed Gevurah is doing. Chesed Gevurah Tiferet is doing. Chesed said, okay, let's go for it. Let's make the meal. Let's build a house. Gevurah says, wait a minute. You gotta, not so fast. You gotta, if you're building a house, you gotta make a contract. You gotta, there's a lot of things you gotta do. You can't just go like a wild horse. There's a cheshbon. That's what Gevurah is saying. The same thing in meal. What your meal is going to look like. How much? How much ingredients are you going to be putting in here? You put too much, it's not going to work. Oh, because you see, the Gevurah is only trying to help the right side to express it. That's all. It's not an enemy. It's all part of things. This is what a parts of it is. They work together. I'm just showing you how slowly, so you see what this is. But the mind is doing this very, very quickly. You're not even conscious of this whole conversation. But this is what the Kabbalah is revealing here. It's just really telling you to slow down for a minute, and you'll see what's going on. Okay. Tiferes comes in and says, okay, no problem, you're right, and we'll get it together. Meaning it's agreeing with Gevurah, and of course holding on to Chesed, and it's creating a whole how you can move on. It's a miniature parts of that's really what the Kavim Sa'i is. Okay, great. So what are you missing now? Well, you have Netzach Hod Yesod, right? That's going to be your dot. That's integration, expression, and finally bringing your product out tachlis. So what are you missing? Okay, one could very simple. I could say a shir or whatever, and I'm talking to myself, and you guys don't know what I'm talking about. That's not what it's about. And you have professors like that. Even Rabbanim, Rahman al-Islam, they do this. They talk to themselves. Right? You got to talk to the audience. Who's the audience? Malchut. Malchus is the actual manifestation. That's what it is. That's what we're saying. Yeah, when we mention Malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's manifestation of Tachlis, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. That's what it is. Nothing mystical here. Okay? So now he has to do the same thing. Okay. Netzach says, yeah, give it to me, but it's working from the perspective of the receiver, which is Malchus. Before I said that what Chagat is working from the giver, the Mashpia, and Nahi, Netzach Hod Yesod, is working from the Malchus, from the receiver. So Netzach said, yes, great, do it. Hod says, same thing like Gevurah. No, you got to figure whatever. And Yesod says, not more, not too much, not too little, just right. This is it. B'diyuk. That's why it's Yesod. And then if you do all that, there has to be a hatzlacha that the thing will be matzlich, and that's your malchus. So the main message, what comes out of this is you see unification. That's what this is about. Now, unification isn't that everything is one color. Either you got to be blue, or you have to be red, or you got to... No. Beauty is taking contrast of what's different, and they all make up a whole. particularly women's clothing, for an example. You see, when you say it's beautiful, why? Because it has a lot of different contrasts of colors, and that is a whole. That's a parzuf. They don't mitnageh. They don't go against one another. It all makes up of a whole. And so the inner message of this is about, and that's why obviously you see this happen in the 9 days, hey of. So that's the tikkun, that we have to think in this kivun. We have to learn how to think in the kivun of unification. Everybody has a chelik what to do here. Nobody is out. The fact that each human being is here, and then this includes even by goyim. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it follows the whole thing. That if a person is here, he's here to do a tachlis what he's put here for, and no one else, no other nitzutz, no other neshama could do it. Only him or her. That's it. This expresses the unified whole, what really is possible. This is what the Arizal wanted to give over, and over the years we weren't zeicher to it, and this is something which I went back into the Kitvei Ari, Al Pi this derech, and it puts it all together. And we should be zeicher that we should have this Motzei Shviyat and so on. We should be zeicher that we should have the Geula, the Karav Mamash.
Thank you so much, Rav Schatz. Thank you. God bless you. We see you hopefully very soon again. B'ezrat Hashem, Rabbi Moshe revealed to us a book called Tal Orot, which summarizes the unification of.
He goes into this type of thinking again.
So B'ezrat Hashem, in the winter we'll have the zchut to learn this book with you. Somehow we'll manage to bring you back.
Hashem. I'll
Thank you
talk
so
about
much.
it.
Thank you. God bless you. Yeah.